Hello everyone, welcome to the Barn of Splanification. I'm your host Tyler, and this channel, Splanify, is making the difficult easy through splanification. Those are two words I made up, but you know what? You understand what they mean every time. This is tips, hacks, tricks, and directions to help you depend less on a failing system of infrastructure. Isn't that a big word? It just means every time you go to the grocery store and see those empty shelves or partly stocked shelves. And I remember when, over the years of grocery shopping, every once in a while we would show up and there would be big holes in the shelves where product, is really thin or really low. And what it was, obviously back then, is that you got there just before the restocking crew hit, and the big truck just is pulling up, or will just pull up any moment now, and they'll be hustling out product from the back to get to the shelves and restock. That's not what's happening today. Today, you go to the grocery store and you see great big gaping holes where product used to be, and sometimes it takes 2 or 3 weeks before that product will get there. When you do find the products you need, a lot of times you're grabbing the last few there. There's not a whole lot remaining. So anymore, when you see it, you grab it because it may not be there next time. Hasn't that changed your shopping mentality? You do two things. Number one, you buy up because you know the price isn't going down. Prices are going up like crazy. And you grab it when you can because it's available right now, and the number of product varieties are decreasing, and availability is limited, and price is increasing. This is the world we're in right now. So we need some tips, tricks, and hacks on how to stretch a buck, how to make do, and how to improve some things. I have written a book called 11th Hour Preparedness, and shameless plug. I will list on here a link down below. Hit the show more button and you'll see a link that I'll put in there for my books. But the 11th Hour Preparedness describes preparedness under what I call the 4 F's, and that's food and water. Well, that includes food, water, and shelter, but I didn't know how to spell shelter with an F. So food, water, and shelter. Fuel, which is gas, diesel, batteries, electric generation, all of that stuff that talks about power. And then first aid, medicinal plants, wound care, stocking meds, and sanitation. It's all under first aid. And then the last one is, we can't say the name because this is YouTube and their censorship will jump on that word, but it has to do with Second Amendment devices, if you will, and apparatuses to send mineral substances at high velocity. And that area we just can't discuss too much on YouTube because they'll shut down the channel if they just think you're talking about something like that. So much for First Amendment freedom of speech. But today we're going to talk about food and water. That's the topic that we're going to be on. And if you really want to save a buck, you need to move away from buying products already made and get back to basics and make them. Make versus buy. The price increase to buy ready-made products is outrageous. We had a Sam's Club membership, and it used to be that you could go to Sam's Club, you could buy products that in bulk. You could buy 50-pound bags of rice. You could buy 50-pound bags of beans. I'd done it many times on mission trips down to Mexico where we packaged up beans and rice to give away to families there. And it not available today. Everything in the store seemed to be geared towards take it out of a pack, throw it in a microwave, and convenience and fast. What happened to these big box stores or wholesale stores catering towards it used to be Costco and Sam's Club when they were first started, they catered more to restaurants and large accounts. And then they shifted towards a different order. Now they're marketing to families. And you can't get very much quality, large quantity items that will stock a homestead today. It's all kind of like citified, real easy peasy for people that don't know how to cook and barely know how to work a microwave. So we canceled that. We look now for ordering our bulk food somewhere else. We shop today, just Terry and I, but we shop every month. We do not shop every week. Now, we do, in the middle of the month, we will jump in and maybe get a gallon of milk or a little more, half and half, because we've been making too many cappuccinos, but not the large part. The bulk of our shopping we do once a month. I'll tell you, you go to the grocery store once a month, you are going to get slapped in the face with the rising cost of food, because if you haven't been there in a month, that price has been scooting up several times a week, all month long, little bit by little bit, but you see it really jump if you only go once a month. So we have come to the place where we make our own bread for less than $1 a loaf, versus buying bread. It's almost $4 a loaf for premium, the fancy breads. And I'm not talking about the cheap bread that it's hard to call that bread. It's not very nutritious anyway. But if you want good quality bread of the same kind that you can make yourself, you're going to pay almost $4 a loaf for that. And you can make it yourself for less than $1. We made a decision the other day after looking over the shelf. There used to be various styles of mayonnaise that you could buy, and we always looked for the mayonnaise made with olive oil. We couldn't find it. Not anywhere. Everything, even the mayonnaise that was made with, that said it was olive oil based, it would list olive oil, and then right after it, it would say soybean oil. Everything was soy related. Well, we're trying to steer clear of soy. It's got a lot of things in it that you just don't want in your diet. And so we made the call last time we were at the grocery store. We're going to start making our own mayonnaise. It's real easy. It's not hard at all. And you've got so many opportunities with that. You can add a little bit of tomato powder in there. You can add different spices. You can add garlic. You can add a little bit of cayenne pepper, a little bit of stuff to make that mayonnaise into something really nice, far better than just a plain old white mayonnaise. And it's so much cheaper. It's not horribly expensive, but when you can't even find the non-soy mayonnaise anymore, you have to make your own. And it's not hard. And I'm not going to go into showing you how to do that. There are so many YouTube channels. Just do a search on YouTube for DIY mayonnaise, and there will be a ton of really good kitchen professionals who will show you how to make your own mayonnaise, and it's really good stuff. Secondly, we like diversity in our diet, and with the price of beef going up through the ceiling, about the only saving grace is that the price of pork was more reasonable, and the price of pork has been going up. We used to buy a picnic pork shoulder for about 98 cents a pound. Today, man, it's $1.60 a pound. Pretty high up there. And what we have found to do with that, if we bought shredded pork barbecue, the Lloyd's 1 pound tub of shredded pork barbecue, the biggest argument I had with that is I don't want to put it on my pancakes. I want to eat a barbecue sandwich. And there was so much sugar in that stuff. It was sickening sweet, and it's just not the way I like real pulled pork barbecue. So I bought one of these picnic shoulders. I put it in the slow cooker, and I ran it probably 3 or 4 times on the meat cycle. And when I got done, I'd check it each time in between each cooking. And when I got done, that tough picnic shoulder was fall apart good pulled pork. I got that thing to the point that I could just take it out and pull it to pieces with a couple of forks, and I had a ton of pulled pork to season up and make into pulled pork sandwiches. Well, what we did was we put them into 1 pound, 1 pound little freezer bags, and we had seasoned them up already. And now we'll just take one of those out of the freezer, thaw it out in no time flat, and we will make a dinner out of that pulled pork. It is so good, far better than what we were getting from the whole lot of sugar, little bit of pork from Lloyd's, and it tastes so good, so much healthier for you. And on top of that, we also got almost a pound of pure good lard. Now, when I put this into the pressure cooker, this is one of those like a instant pot. And when we did that, I put no seasoning when I cook it. I'll put the seasoning in after it's all broken down and into shredded pork. That way, the lard that I get out is pure, and that lard is snow white. We would save that up. Then we would have the liquid that came out of the pork, and it was pork broth. What a soup it could make. And then the bone that came out of it made a perfect seasoning bone for a soup bone for making any kind of soup you want to make that'd be suitable for, or to make to cook beans. You put that pork bone in there, and man, it makes a great pot of beans. There's so many more things that you get by buying the whole roast. And then ordering in bulk. We quit buying those little bitty bottles of spices at the grocery store. My goodness, those things are expensive. When you figure what you're paying per pound, don't go by the how much per ounce, look at the price per pound. And it's ridiculously expensive. Then go look up bulk spices on the internet, and we find a bunch of it on Amazon. And for almost twice the money that I'm spending for this little bitty jar of spice that's got an ounce or two of stuff in it, I can buy a pound. And we buy a ton of that kind of stuff. We buy cinnamon by the pound, actually by multiple pounds even, and we get the high quality Ceylon cinnamon, and we get it cheaper than we can buy the cheap stuff in the little jars. And then, by the way, shredded pork, the Lloyd's is $6.16 a pound, and the pulled pork you make yourself is about $1.60 a pound. And a pound makes 2 meals, so that's only 80 cents a meal for pulled pork barbecue, better than you could ever get anywhere else. Now, the cinnamon, we also buy cream of tartar. Now we bought a big jar of it. Here it is, but we buy it in bulk because we make our own baking powder, and the baking powder works so well. What you don't realize is baking powder is a mix of cream of tartar and baking soda. The cream of tartar is a natural forming acidic material. It's actually it collects on the inside of barrels of wine when it ages, and they collect that white stuff, and that's cream of tartar. And so it is a natural thing, but it's kind of acidic, and you mix that acidic like vinegar or like lemon juice. And then you mix that powder with the baking powder, which is the other end of the spectrum. And if you mix those two together as a dry powder, they will stay inert for a while. But as moisture gets to it, it activates the reaction between the baking soda and the cream of tartar. And that's what you want to happen in your cooking. So take some baking soda, baking powder, I'm sorry. Take some baking powder, and I remember the little boats we used to have, and you put baking powder in them and close them up and put them in the water, and the water would activate the baking soda and it would form little bubbles and it would push the little boat along. That's kind of the stuff that's going on. You can, it will begin to outgas. And baking soda will last eons. I mean, it's a shelf-stable item. Cream of tartar is shelf-stable. But as soon as you mix them, even the humidity from the air will begin to degrade them. And what they have on the shelf, how long has it been on the shelf in your grocery store? I'll guarantee you it wasn't made a month ago. And that stuff, even when you buy it fresh off the shelf, it's not as good as the stuff you make yourself. And all you need is 2 parts cream of tartar, 1 part baking soda. Mix that together, that's baking powder. Well, when you buy cream of tartar in large quantities, now we took it out of the bag it was in and put it into a jar because it's easier to deal with and easier to keep fresh, easier to keep on the shelf. And then baking soda, we buy the small economy little, or the small bag, the little bag. We buy large quantities of baking soda, and because it has so many good uses. And you mix those two together and you've got baking powder. So that saves, not only does it give you a better quality, but it's cheaper. And it's so easy to do. And then we do salt. I bought a 25-pound bag of salt years ago. And I took it out of the bag and I put it into some various, like those clear plastic juice containers. And I stored it in different ways. And we're still using that from years ago. And we never run out of salt. We've always got salt around. And I'll tell you, if things go really bad, salt is going to become of great value. That's vital stuff. And so we buy salt in large quantities. So all of that stuff needs to be buy it in large quantities. And then have a place that, a tub or something where you can put all of that, those plastic storage tubs, where you can put your spices that in bulk and then fill your little jars over and over and over again. And it works so well. Ordering in bulk will save you a ton of money. Now, the last one is upgrading. You can upgrade things that are inexpensive and make them taste like something very expensive. I found, now I like my coffee in the morning. A day without coffee is a bad day. And so I like a good cup of coffee in the morning. But the price of coffee is really, really expensive, or it can get really, really expensive. Coffee has been going up through the ceiling, and especially if you like a good cup of coffee, you're going to want a premium roast or a premium grade of coffee. And I learned some things about coffee. The first thing I learned is that the difference between high-grade coffee and regular run-of-the-mill coffee is where and how it's grown. When coffee is grown in a shaded area, up in the higher altitudes, it grows more slowly, and it grows with a a much lower acid content. And that's why cheap coffee is kind of acidy, and real expensive coffee is just mellow and smooth. And that's where people think, well, I have to spend a lot of money to get that smooth cup of coffee. No, you don't. I found a rather inexpensive coffee. You remember when coffee used to be 1 pound and 3 pound cans? Yeah, well, now they're 10 ounce cans and try to find anything in a 3-pound can. They just don't make them anymore. So I found that I could buy this coffee in a can, or I could buy it in a vacuum-packed brick. And the vacuum-packed bricks are so much longer lasting because they've removed all the air out of it and packed it in tight. And here is my brand of coffee. I buy this stuff. Now, I'll tell you, if you make a cup of coffee out of this, you make it straight, it's a little bitter. It's not the highest grade coffee, but it's pretty good. It's got a good flavor, but it's a little bit bitey. So I learned a trick. You add a pinch of baking soda in a cup of coffee, or a 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda in a pot of coffee. And it brings that acid level down. And it makes this stuff taste like it's really expensive, good coffee. And I was paying, I couldn't get this at our local grocery store. We're in an area where there are only 2 sources to get groceries, H-E-B or Walmart. And I really don't like shopping at Walmart, but they were the only ones that had this coffee in a brick. And so I was buying this coffee for $2.88 for a 10-ounce brick of coffee. When I need it, I open it, break the seal, and pour it out into a can that holds 10 ounces, and then I use that. And I just keep refilling the can with these bricks. I have 15 of these bricks right now, and I've got enough coffee. It's going to last me at least a year with what I have. And a note about freshness dates: ignore those things. These aren't expiration dates. Those dates are put there by the Department of Commerce. And the Department of Commerce role and responsibility is to benefit the world of trade and sales. They are not the FDA, and they are not telling you that if you use it past the expiration date, you're going to die. They're not qualified to make that claim. But when they say a freshness date, they put a freshness date on honey. And honey can stay. We have honey that has come out of the tombs in Egypt that is over 2,000 years old, and it's still perfectly good. There are things that are shelf stable. They will last for generations, for decades, and not go bad. I have had packets of instant coffee from World War II B rations or C rations, either one. And I have made coffee with those over 70-year-old packets of coffee. And you know what? Actually, we're talking 80-year-old. 80 years old packets of instant coffee. And you know what I had in my cup? I had a cup of instant coffee, and it was fine. There wasn't anything wrong with it. It was good, and it worked. So they put freshness dates on everything, even stuff that will last till Jesus comes. So the shelf-stable foods we need to stock. And I'm telling you, in a vacuum-packed brick like this thing will last a long, long time, and a long time after the freshness date. And the best used by date is still a year away. And so don't worry about it. If you want to get some cheap coffee, add a little bit of baking soda to take the bite out of it, and enjoy a real smooth, delightful cup of coffee. Well, I hope this has all helped. This is kind of where we are and kind of what we're doing. I hope I've splanified things well for you, and that the splanification will help. This is the Splanification Barn. And welcome to the channel. I'll be posting this one right away today. God bless you all, and I'll catch you again next time.